flame, or it might be of a color. Just thinking of something. I've picked up a couple of frangipanis off the ground, so I'm going to focus on those. We've got such turbulent times at the moment. We're a little bit in a rough sea, in a wobbly boat. So we need to just bring our focus to a point. So thinking about just one thing you can focus on. There might be something in your room, a flower or something there that you can just direct your energy to. And bring that object into your mind's eye. And let's take 4 more breaths. And 1 more. And then slide your hands back a little bit and come up to all fours. Hello, Ollie. So from here, we've got our knees nice and wide. And we're going to inhale, lift up our chest into cat and cow. And exhale, bring your spine up towards the ceiling and tuck your chin in, gazing through your knees towards your feet. Just moving with your breath. Inhale as you lift your chest up and raise your gaze, and exhale as you nod your chin in. Thinking about all the little spaces in between your vertebrae and the spine. And let's take a couple more breaths. And then coming back to tabletop again. We're going to go into pigeon pose. So to do this, we're going to take our left knee forward and then bring the left foot across to the right side of the mat and slide your right leg back. So you're coming into pigeon pose. So this is one that is really great for stretching through the glute area. But we don't normally do this one because anyone who's got dodgy knees, this one can be a bit tricky. But we don't have Penny here today, so we all got good knees, so we can all manage this one. Now with this, you can actually go down a little further if you want. You can bring your forearms down to the mat if that works for you. If not, stay up on your palms and relax into the pose. And as you deep breathe in and out, just notice the nice stretch through the left glute. As you breathe out, surrender to the pose a little more. Just take 2 more breaths here. And then come back up onto your hands, lift your chest, and bring that left knee back into the all fours again. And this time we're going to take the right knee forward, right up to where the right hand is, and then spin the right foot across the left side of the mat. And then lift your chest and slide the left leg back. So you can stay in this position and you should be feeling a nice stretch through the right glute, right hip area. Or if you want to take it further, you can come down to your forearms and relax into the pose. Taking some nice deep breaths and notice the stretch through the right glute. Come back to your object that you're focusing on. Bring that into your mind's eye and just softening your eyes, taking some nice deep breaths. Connecting with that stretch through the right glute. Two more breaths here. And then come back up onto your palms and bring the right knee back. And from here, we're going to go back to child's pose. Bring our buttocks down to our heels and our forehead down to the mat. And then as we inhale, we're going to take our chest forward into an upward dog. stretching through the front of the hips and through the chest. And exhale, come back to child's pose. Just moving through with your breath. So as you inhale, bring your chest forward to upward dog. And as you exhale, come back to child. Just move through, nice flow with your breath. As you go into upward dog, you can actually lift your knees up if you want, or you can keep them on the ground. It's up to you. The knees up just stretches a little more. Let's go 2 more rounds. And then come back to all fours. So from here, we're going to move through a little flow with downward dog. So Deb, you might want to come up to your cabinet there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to exhale into downward dog. And then inhale, we're going to take our chest forward into upward dog. You can roll over the toes. And then exhale back to downward dog again. So just taking that flow a little bit deeper. So inhale as you bring your chest forward and look up. And exhale as you roll back over into downward dog. Let's do one more flow. And then come to downward dog and stay in downward dog for a few breaths and feel the stretch through the back of your legs. Pressing your heels down towards the floor. Take a few nice deep breaths. And then come back down to all four again. And this one, we're going to go into lizard pose. So lizard pose starts on all fours. And then I want you to take your right foot forward and place it next to your right hand. That's it. So with this lizard pose, it's a nice stretch for your hip area. Just take a few deep breaths here and feel that stretch. You can feel it right through, especially the left side. And then if you can stay here if you wish, or if you want to take it one step further, you can lift the right hand up and look up towards the right thumb, getting a stretch through the chest as well. Just take a couple of breaths. And then bring the right hand back down and bring the right foot back to all fours. And then we'll go to the other side. So bring the left foot next to the left hand and slide your right knee back a little bit. So you feel a nice stretch through the hip flex on the right side. Let's take a few breaths here. And you can stay here, or you can lift the left hand and look up towards the left thumb. So you get a nice stretch. And then bring the left hand down and bring your knees back to all fours. Then from here, we're going to go into a downward dog again. So lifting up the hips, pushing the heels down towards the mat. So stretching out the back of your legs and stretching out your shoulders. Just take a few breaths. Let the crown of your head relax and point down towards the ground. So you're really getting a stretch through the upper back and neck area as well. Let's take 2 more breaths here, and then we're going to take our feet wide and walk our hands underneath us into a wide-legged forward bend. You can heel toe your feet a bit wider as well. Bring your fingertips or your palms down to the mat and allow yourself to surrender into that wide-legged forward bend. You can fold your arms here as well. Just let your body hang upside down. So you're getting a really nice stretch through the back of the legs and the lower back, and you're opening up the spaces in your spine. Let's take some nice deep breaths and come back to that point of focus again. whether it be a flower or a flame or some other object. Let's take 4 more breaths. Just noticing the rise and fall of your chest. 1 more breath. And then unfold your arms, bring your hands to the mat and walk them forward. Lift your chest and stretch your back. And then heel toe your feet a little close together, bend your knees and come up to standing. So bring your legs a little closer, give them a shake. Let's bring our hands above our head. Feet about hip width apart and exhale to the side. Inhale to center and exhale to the other side. Just moving from side to side with your breath. And then come back up to center. And we're going to take our feet wide and we're going to go into garland pose. So this is the one where we do a deep squat. So we're going to have our toes pointing outwards and we're going to come down. You can come to here if you wish. So part way down, or if you can, if your knees will allow you, you can go a little lower and use your elbows to press out against the inner of your knees. Have your chest up nice and tall. And just feel that deep stretch through the inner thighs and hip area. Let's just take about 6 breaths here, if your hips will allow you. And relax your heels down a little closer to the ground. That's it. Just a couple more breaths. You can even close your eyes here if you feel you want to play with it a little bit. And center yourself back on that object that you're focusing on. 1 more breath. And then release your hands to the mat and straighten out your legs and come into a forward bend again, but this time with your feet a bit closer together. Bring your fingertips down to the mat. Bring your chest and your legs a little closer together. Just let your body hang upside down. You can tuck your fingers under your toes if you want. Let's take a few breaths here and connect with the stretch down the back of your legs and also through the buttocks. 2 more breaths. And then release your hands, slight bend in your knees, and slowly come back up to standing. And let's bring our hands to heart center, take a couple of breaths, and bring that object back into your mind's eye again. So you're focusing on that object. Take a couple of breaths, and then release. Okay, little shake in the hands and feet, and we'll go into our warrior sequence, turning our left foot slightly out to the side and step forward with the right. And then inhale, raise your chest, raise your arms, and raise your gaze. The right leg is, the knee is bent over the right ankle, and reach up nice and tall and connect with a stretch through the left hip. 1 more breath here. And then take the right hand forward, left hand back, and open out through the hands, squeeze through the shoulders. This is warrior 2, gazing towards the right thumb. And take your right hand behind you, clasping with your left hand, lengthen out the right leg, gazing down towards the right toe into humble warrior. Feel it stretch through the back of the right leg and also through the shoulders. Let's take a couple of breaths, nice and slow. And then release your hands. If you have a block handy, you can put your right hand on the block. And inhale, lift up the left hand and looking up towards the left thumb into triangle pose. Feeling a deep stretch through the right hamstring and a nice stretch through the chest. One more breath. And then exhale, bring the left hand down and come back up to standing, back to the back of the mat. And we'll turn the right foot out, step forward with the left. Inhale, lift your chest, raise your gaze, bending the left leg and reaching up towards the ceiling. Stretching up, reaching up as high as you can and connecting with a stretch through the right hip. Two more breaths here. And then take left hand forward, right hand back and elongate through your hands, squeeze your shoulders. Have the left knee bent over the left ankle, gazing towards the left thumb. Then bring the left hand back behind you, clasping onto the right hand, lengthen out the left leg and lift your hands up off your lower back into humble warrior. So nice stretch through the left hamstring and through the shoulders. Taking a couple of deep breaths. One more breath. And then release your hands down to the mat. If you have your block there, you can put your left hand on the block. Inhale, lift up the right hand and look up towards the right thumb and feel the stretch through the left hamstring and open up through the chest. Take a couple of breaths here into triangle pose. One more breath. And then release the right hand down to the mat and come back up to standing. Give your legs a little shake. Good. And then let's come down to the mat. So we're going to bring our buttocks down to the mat and have our legs straight out in front of us. And we're going to inhale, flex our feet and stretch up. And exhale, bring your chest forward and bring your fingertips down to your toes or to your ankles or your shins. Gaze towards your big toes. And notice the stretch through the hamstrings and the lower back. A little bit of shoulders. Just take a couple of nice breaths here. And then release your hands. And we're going to do a little twist. So we're going to bend our left leg and bring the left foot over the outside of the right leg. Put the right hand on your knee and your left hand behind you. And we're going to look over our left shoulder and bring the right knee to the right side, left knee to the right side. So we come into a nice twist. Imagine you've got a string going from the base of your spine up through the spine, out through the top of your head. So you're going to lengthen your spine up through the string. And each time you exhale, twist a little more. You can close your eyes here and come back to the object that you're focusing on. Two more breaths. And then release and bring your left leg down. And this time bend the right knee and bring the right foot over the left leg. Left hand on the right knee, right hand behind you. Lifting up through the spine and twisting to the right side, looking over the right shoulder as you draw the right knee to the left side of you. So coming into a nice twist and come back to that piece of string, going from the base of your spine, up through the spine, up through the top of your head. Each time you exhale, twist a little more. Two more breaths. And then release and bring both legs back down to the ground. Just give them a little shake. Flex your feet and then inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold forward. And reach towards your toes, gazing towards the big toes. And just take a couple of breaths. Feel that nice stretch down the back of the hamstrings. Hopefully you've got a little bit more flexibility this time than what you did last time. One more breath. And then release your hands and lay back into Apanasana. So we're going to hug our knees into our chest and roll our body in a circle, releasing any tension that we might have in the lower back. So circle in one direction and then go in the other direction. And then place your feet on the mat and just make sure your spine's nice and straight. And then lift your feet back up again and reach to the outside edge of your feet into Happy Baby, lifting the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling, flattening your back out. See, this is another nice stretch. It's a little bit like the yogi squat we did before, but we're doing it in the opposite direction. Taking a few nice deep breaths here. And notice how you're stretching through the hip area. One more breath. And then release your feet. Bring your feet back down to the mat and bring your heels close to your buttocks. And bring your palms of your hands facing down on the mat next to your hips. Inhale, lift up through the hips. And bring your hips as high as you can. Push through the heels, squeeze the buttocks. And push your elbows into the mat. And then exhale, slowly lower your spine down to the mat. And then lift your knees up, hug them to your chest again. Then release your right knee and bring the right foot down to the mat and cross the left foot over the front of the right thigh and hug that up. So it's like a thread the needle. It's the opposite to the pigeon that we did the other way. So we're coming into a nice stretch through the left glute. Take a few nice deep breaths here. And then release your hands, let the right foot come to the mat, but keep the left leg crossed. Put the left arm out to the side and use your right hand to draw the knee to the right side as you gaze towards the left. So you're coming into a nice stretch down the left side of your body and connecting through the stretch on your left glute. Surrender into the pose. Each exhalation, just draw that knee across a little more. Try to keep your shoulders on the ground so you also get a stretch through the chest. One more breath. And then release the knee. Inhale, bring your knees to the center and cross it over to the other side. So left foot comes to the ground, right leg across the front of the left thigh, and then hug those knees towards your chest. You can thread your hands through the needle and draw the legs towards the chest. Bring your shoulders and your head back to the mat. Just close your eyes, come back to focus on the object that you chose. Taking some nice deep breaths here. You might want to rock from side to side. Each exhalation, hugging in a little tighter. One more breath. And then release your hands. Allow the left foot to come down to the mat. Use your left hand to draw the knees to the left side as you have the right hand straight out from your shoulders and turn your head towards the right. Just gently drawing that knee towards the left side. Allow your shoulders to stay on the mat. Taking a few nice deep breaths and connect with the stretch through the right glute. 2 more breaths. And then release the knee. Bring both knees back to the center. Uncross your legs and then hug the knees to your chest. And then we'll do one more bridge. So bring your feet back to the ground, heels close to your buttocks. As you inhale, press through the heels, lift your hips up, push through the elbows, nod your chin into your chest, squeeze the buttocks. Take a couple of breaths here. And then as you exhale, slowly lower your spine back down to the mat. Hug your knees to your chest. And either rock from side to side or circle. And from here, we're going to go into our legs up position. So bring your feet back to the mat. And you can have your legs up the wall or up beside the bed, or come into a shoulder stand or a supported legs up with something underneath your lower back, whatever works for you today. So as you inhale, lift your feet up and bring your legs up. If you're in the shoulder stand, using your hands to cradle your hips and walk your elbows slightly in, circling your feet. Give them a little shake. And then take them wide. Some nice deep breaths here. Come back to closing your eyes and focusing on that object. And then bending your knees, bring the soles of your feet together into butterfly. And then inhale, lift your feet up again. You can leave them straight up in the air, or you can bring them over your head towards the floor behind your head into plow pose. Release your hands down to the mat. And then on the next inhalation, slowly lowering your spine down to the mat. And coming into your Savasana position. So you might like to cover yourself up with a blanket or place a blanket under your head. If you have an eye pillow, you can place that. You can have your legs flat on the ground, or if you want to support your lower back, you can have your knees bent or a little cushion underneath your knees to soften through the hips. Take 3 long, deep breaths, just relaxing into the mat. Bring that object that you've been focusing on, bring that back into your mind's eye. Just take some nice deep breaths. And enjoy the energy that you've cultivated through your yoga practice. Come into some stillness and some focus. We're going to lay here and relax quietly for a few minutes in Savasana. And start to come back to your breathing. And notice the beautiful energy supporting you, coming up through the earth, lengthening out through your hands and your feet, and wiggling the fingers and toes. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and roll to one side. Take a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, come up to a comfortable seated position. Beautiful. Thank you for your beautiful yoga practice today, ladies. Let's bring our hands to heart center and to our forehead for kind thoughts, to our lips for kind words, and to our heart for a kind heart. Namaste. Beautiful. How's everyone feeling?
Much better, thanks to this last hour. Thank